Okay, I'd like to take a few minutes at the beginning of the lab today to show you another technique for mounting sort of intermediate sized insects. And this is relevant to your ichneumonids project because, as you'll see, a lot of the ichneumonids are sort of in that size range where they're actually a little too small to directly pin, but they're very difficult if you were to point them. And card mounting, again, is a little bit difficult because they're fairly big for that as well. And what this technique involves is drawing the insect, gluing the insects to the side of a pin. First thing we need to do here is simply select the insects for preparation, and it's the same as before. The important thing here, though, is when you select the specimens, then to put them on a piece of paper and then try to move them around a little bit while they're still damp and covered with the 95% alcohol. Move them around a bit so the wings lay nice and flat. If you don't do that, what's going to happen is they're going to get all crumpled up, and it'll be much more difficult to sort of see what you've got. So again, if you just put them down on the paper and then move them a bit, sort of pulling them along the paper until they appear to be flat, and then let them dry. These ones over here I did a few minutes ago, and this doesn't take very long. It takes maybe about 5 minutes in the 95% alcohol to dehydrate the wings a little bit more. And then on the pin, just on the paper, just move them around, and then in about 5 minutes they'll be ready to go. So these 5 specimens here are sort of ready to be glued on the side of the pin. All right, I'm just going to move these over to under the microscope. And again, this is, like most of this, is much better done under the microscope. So I'm just looking at the specimens and trying to find the correct place to glue them. And the correct place is basically on the side of the thorax, slightly behind the wings. So I'm just moving these around. And again, the way to do this is to glue it on the insect's right side. So again, I'm laying the insect on its left side, and this then provides me with access to the right side. I'm going to take a little bit of the glue, same glue we used before. I'm just going to put more of a line on the paper here in close proximity to the specimen. Then I'm going to take one of the number 1 insect pins, like the ones I've given you, and I'm just going to take it and I'm going to touch it into the glue at about the position we want the insect to be attached, and so that's going to be down about 1 centimeter, like we've done with all the other specimens. So you just kind of set it down in the glue, touch it into the glue till it gets a nice blob of glue on the side of it, and then move it over and just set it on the insect specimen. Now what you can do is just sort of set it on the specimen, move it around, say, with your forceps until you kind of get it in a nice position, again ideally right on the side of the thorax, and again in nice orientation, vertical, and then let it sit there for just a few minutes till it can kind of, before you actually pick it up. This will allow it to get sticky and tacky on the pin. Try to keep your forceps out of the glue. All right, we'll do another one while that one's drying up. And again, these can be moved around. They're not any particular. Okay, just take another insect pin here. And if the glue starts to get real stringy, then it's time to get some more glue, or in fact even to dilute your glue a little bit. Again, just sticking it on about the right place, moving it over to the specimen, and then touching it on the side, just leaving it there, just drop it there, and then move it around. Let it sit on the right side of the insect until it affixes nicely. Okay, and I'll do one more just to show you how easy this is. And again, it's very quick. That's one other reason for doing this. Again, it doesn't break the specimens, and especially for ichneumonids, it works very, very well. Okay, one last one. We're just going to touch the glue here under the microscope at about the right height, move it over to the specimen, and then set it down on the specimen. And then by now we can go back to the one that we've already done and pick it up with the forceps, and then we can then sort of do the final adjustments under the microscope. We can have a look at it. The glue should still be fairly tacky. You can move it up and down a bit if it's droopy, but this one is just perfect. And once it's ready to go, you just set it in the tray here, and pick up another one that we've got over here. Have a look at it. Then that one could have been perhaps a little lower on the pin, just to give us room to handle it. We can then push it down a bit. Okay, looks good. And finally, the third one that we've done here. Okay, well, that's really all there is to it. These are all three are perfect, or at least good enough, close enough for what we're trying to do. Again, you can when you're just trying to glue the side of the body, so it means you can actually move the antennae around, move the wings around a little bit when they've been done. Okay, and then of course the last thing that we need to do, as with all specimens, is to in fact add labels to them. And again, to add the labels, simply center the insect and the pin unit, if you will, over the specimen, put it at the appropriate height. And so here we have a perfectly good specimen of a glued to the side of the pin ichneumon specimen. And this, I think, will be an easy way for you to kind of process the middle-sized specimens that you need to do for today. Okay, have at it.